Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about this and why I'm probably going to put this on it instead, at least for a little while. Stick around. Okay guys, you might be asking yourself why I would go from the Surefire X300U, affectionately known sometimes as the U-boat, to the Streamlight TLR-7 Flex. Why would I do that? More on that in a second, but let's go ahead and pop this bad boy open. Light, battery. I wonder if these will come in handy. Oh, and there's a ton of instructions. I'm not going to sit here and read them on camera. Before I go any further, I want to talk a little bit about weapon light considerations. Why I want the light that I want, what makes the difference to me, and what's important and what's not. So in general, here's what I care about. It needs to be bright enough. Now, opinions on this are going to vary. Some people say, oh, it doesn't have to be that bright. 300 lumens is fine. 500 lumens is fine. In general, guys, I fall into the every light is a substitute for the sun. Therefore, no such thing as too bright. That is my own personal opinion. So I go with a bright light if I can get it. Any light can be too bright if you use it like an idiot. So like if you're looking around inside a structure and there's a mirror and you point directly at that mirror and point it basically that light directly back into your face, that would be too bright because you're too dumb to avert that light. I don't really care about 1,000+ lumens. Like, that's good for me, especially on a pistol size light. If I can get that, then I'm more than happy with that. And I know really at this point the only lights that come out that have that level of output that I would at least trust right now, probably Surefire and Streamlight. There's a couple others out there. One, obviously, if you saw my Fenix video, I was really happy with that one. 1200 lumens, but it started doing goofy stuff on me. So we'll wait and get another iteration back and see how that one does. So, but it needs to be bright enough. The user interface is important, like how I interact with that light, turn on, turn it off. Number two in my mind, user interface, is that toggle switch, like Surefire and Mod Light both used. I forgot to mention Mod Light before. Tons of output, pretty darn expensive, good light. But I want I want the ability to turn on, turn it off without having to completely rearrange my grip. And I want it to be solid and tactile. Now notice I said that that's number two. I really like the user interface on the Streamlight TLR-7 and also that Fenix GL19R. So single push button forward, and so I can actuate it with my thumb, or in a pinch, and it's kind of my secondary method, but I could certainly use my trigger finger, and forward is much better than up and down because the up and down thing comes perilously close to, see the cleared gun, perilously close to like that kind of stuff, and I worry about that with some users. So I want to be real careful of that when it comes to turning on that light. User interface is important. There are some others that I've seen that have kind of some gummy, gooey side switches that you have to push in. I really don't like those because we're back to I'm really getting darn close to like moving my finger in directions around the trigger that I don't want. So user interface is super important. Form factor. Now this, the Surefire X300U, it's a good light, but it's not a small light. You know, there's a lot of additional muzzle space. So this is about as big as I would want it to be, and I certainly don't want it to be bigger than this. You know, with a big enough light, you can probably get plenty of output, but at the same time, now you're trading how bulky this pistol has become. For a duty pistol, maybe it's not as much of a consideration. If you're gonna put a light on a concealed carry gun, and we won't get into whether I think that's needed or not needed, who cares, but some people want to do it. You don't want a big monster light, especially if you're carrying it inside your pants. This, too much for me to stuff into my pants. Say all the jokes you want, but too much. I don't want this. So form factor, like how much space it occupies. Will it work in all of the conventional holsters out there, like the Safari Lands? Will it fit in those? If it won't fit in those, then you know, for a lot of people, it's going to be a no-go. So if it forces you to get a custom holster, a lot of people just don't want to do that. And I 100% get it. So that's a big consideration. There's the durability factor. Is this light going to put up with actually shooting on the gun a lot? Now, you know, we're back to this Surefire. At this point, this light has undergone years and tens of thousands of rounds. And as long as I keep replacing the battery, it just keeps going. Side note, anything that has the replaceable batteries, like the 123s, I find those to be much less tolerant of recoil. So even if I don't use the light very much, I still find myself replacing the light every 12 to 1500 rounds, or replacing the battery every 12 to 1500 rounds, just because at some point the battery just dies because of just getting beat up. Did not see that as much with the rechargeables like were in that Fenix, but that Fenix, you know, if you saw that video, 5 months, 4,000 rounds, and it started doing some goofy stuff. So I certainly wouldn't trust it in a work environment or a save your life environment. You know, we'll see. I'm going to give them a second chance. You know, so durability is important. Anything you're going to hang on a gun, it's going to experience recoil, and real recoil, not just play stuff. It's got to put up with that. You know, like I said, Surefire, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with them, but they've never really let me down. I don't think that they're the cheapest kid on the block. By far, they're not. Certainly, they're not the smallest. And in terms of cutting edge light output, they don't have the highest outputs. Like, there are other companies out there that have higher outputs for the same amount of size and weight. That said, Surefire's been around a long time. They're one of the OGs in the business. And so you could do worse than to mess with them. But that said, you know, there are others that I want to try out, and I have yet to find the perfect light for me. But anytime you're looking at a light for your weapon, these are some of the primary considerations. Now, I didn't include price. I did not include price. That's different for everybody, and some people are more price sensitive than others. It's one of the reasons why I've played with some more expensive stuff, some less expensive stuff. Out of general curiosity, I just want to see which ones work the best. So, but that's your considerations. Like I said, maybe you got the secret fifth one, price. Speaking of price, I got a deal for you. If you go down in the description, there is a link to F3's website specifically for their Streamlight TLR. If you get this from them and use code GRAYDOG, you get 10% off, and that puts it competitive price with anybody out there, and you're supporting a small U.S. veteran-owned business. So they're not a sponsor, guys. I just like them a lot. They're good friends, but definitely, if you want one of these, and we're going to get to the install and playing with it in a little bit, then I would 100% recommend that you click on that link, get a deal. All right, so after a bit of screwing around, I did a little reading, and I found out that if you just pop out this screw here on the side, I don't know if you can see it there, but if you unscrew it all the way, then the other side of the rail will come out. I'm going to put those together so that I don't lose them. That seems like a prudent option. And then the universal one will come out. Now, since I'm running a Glock Gen 5, I need the 1913 one, at least according to the documentation. So if we set that in there, and then we reassemble this like so, and in theory it should fit on the gun. And at some point I'll put in the retaining clip, but we're not there yet. So I'll get there. One thing at a time. And it does come with a little tool that you can use, or you can use a coin head, but that'll work to tighten it up. And it's only supposed to be finger tight, so I'm assuming, you know, about that much. And that's it for the TLR-7. Super compact, which is what I like about it. And then obviously it's going to need a battery. Positive in first, yes, smart. There's the light on. And it's, you know, for a single cell it's not bad, but you can unscrew this to where you feel a click, and then it won't work. So that keeps you from having a negligent discharge, as it were. And then you can just screw it back when you're ready to do work, and you're good to go. Now, the upside of this small form factor, nice user interface. I like these switches. They have higher ones. I might trade out the low ones for the high ones. I like these, but I think I might like the high ones better. We'll play with it. But what I do like is the ability to configure, the ability to lock out, and the ability, obviously, for multiple rails. What I don't like about this, single cell, it doesn't have a ton of juice, and when it's out, man, it is out. One of my friends was telling me, because he runs one of these on his gun, he said that, like, if he kicks it on, he gets like kind of a little bit of a fade. He's like, that is officially the time to trade it. If you go any longer, you will have no light. Like, it just won't happen. So something to consider, but overall, man, it's a pretty nifty light. We'll talk more. Quickly, guys, one thing I forgot. Once you get the rail set up, you got to get this little clip. I don't know if you can see it on my finger there. You've got to get that put on the end of this. There's a little tool to help you with that. It's got end for your, I guess, tighten that. It's got a little push pin in case you want to remove the switches and go to the lower profile switches. And it's got on this side a little indentation to help you get this clip, which they're calling E-clip, C-clip, whatever. But it's going to retain all of these parts, so I got to get that in. Just be aware that that is something that you're gonna have to do when you're done. So they want you to do it from the top and then push. Hey, that actually was a lot less pain in the butt than I thought. One last little piece that you're gonna have to do. So it's a bit user assembly intensive. Also, side note, I need to figure out what size Thrim cleanse is going to fit this. So I just dragged my Thrim cleanse sheet down, and if I were a betting man, I would bet it would be the one that says TLR-7. I'm going to clean the lens. Let's just get crazy and clean it out. Why not? Doesn't hurt anything. Let that dry. Stick the cleanse on. Oh, by the way, did I show you guys the watch that my wife got me? A little birthday-versary gift. Do we think it's dry? Looks pretty dry. Stick it in there. Perfect. Yeah, can't even tell the difference. Same amount of output as before. Good time. So a little bit on using this light in just a second. Okay guys, real quickly, let's talk about engaging weapon light. So with a normal grip, if I'm like here and I want to turn on the light, I can just take my thumb, my sports side thumb, turn on, and use turn off. If my both hands are not available, when I draw, I can tap it and go back up here, or I can tap it and then go to engage as needed. I don't like using the trigger finger. Like I said, that's my secondary methodology if this hand's not available. But I like this user interface. I like the form factor, guys. This is super low profile. It'll fit in every freaking holster there is that accommodates any sort of light, and for its size and single cell, super bright. Like I said, the downside, there's one cell in here. When that thing runs out of juice, man, you are out. So I would carry some spare batteries. I would check this light regularly and make sure that it's not doing anything goofy, replace that cell as needed. But for, you know, around 130 bones, this is a pretty good gig. And by the way, guys, if I were inclined to carry in an off-duty or concealed carry manner with a weapon light, this would probably be my top choice, just because of how small, compact, and bright it is. So, you know, is it my #1 all-time favorite pick for weapon lights? Probably not for most applications, but for the ones that it is good for, guys, it's friggin' awesome. Anyway, I don't want to make this video any longer. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Stay safe.
Get 'em, Jay.